Indianapolis Colts get the win against the Miami Dolphins, 16-10. Colts move to 4-3. Dolphins fall to 2-4. Anthony Richardson made his return, finishes 10 of 24 for 129. I want to talk about him for a few minutes. Also carried the ball a bunch, led the team with 56 rushing yards. From Miami's perspective, Tyler Snoop Huntley, only 7 of 13 before getting hurt. Tim Boyle had to come in and play football, could not lead the comeback for the Dolphins.
I would be fascinated to be a fly on the wall during those, kind of roster cut down meetings when somebody's making the case for Tim Boyle to be we need Tim Boyle on this roster. He needs to be the guy on the 53. It's like, what's the argument at this point?
All right, ready for my baseball reference?
Okay.
So I have an old friend. He's in scouting right now for, I think he's in Seattle. And back in the day, we used to just talk ball all the time. My buddy in baseball. And he goes, have you ever looked up Kevin Jarvis's stats? And he's just like this random reliever. And Kevin Jarvis had a 12-year major league career. You won't understand this, but he has a 6 ERA.
Okay.
Right? Like a good ERA is 3.
I knew that. I would have said 3.
A good ERA is 3. I had a 4.9 in AAA in the Pacific Coast League, which is always inflated.
Okay.
You adjust that down to like a 4. This guy had a 6 ERA for 12 years. It's not like you had a 6 ERA for 3 years. We gave you a chance. This dude got chance after chance after chance. He almost has 800 innings in the majors with not once did he pitch well at any point and kept getting good chances.
Yeah.
It's Tim Boyle.
Right. I mean, he's one of those guys who,
because I'll give you the football stats on Boyle in a second here too.
There's just no statistical case to be made ever.
Tim Boyle's career he has 4 touchdowns, 12 picks, which he had a year in college where he had 1 touchdown and 10 picks.
That's what I was going to say.
This isn't like, oh man, he just lost it.
Right.
4 touchdowns, 12 picks at 5 yards per attempt. 5.2 yards per attempt. Like, no number's good.
Tim Boyle's college career stats are 1 passing touchdown, 13 interceptions. This was somebody who's never been good.
So he's better in the NFL, which is great. I mean, again, your trajectory is good. Like, I don't call for people's jobs or anything. I'm not trying to pick on Tim Boyle, but it is a legitimate question. Seth Walder from ESPN said yesterday, like, why would Tim Boyle be on a roster? Like, you can't have another third quarterback, and then now he's the backup.
Yeah.
He comes in as the backup of choice. Now, he's not the reason Miami lost. It's just a fascinating case.
He's a reason.
He's not yeah.
They put him in at a point. The game ended a 1-score game, right? They put him in at a point where if we had a quarterback that could execute a drive, we can win this game. Only we have Tim Boyle, so that's not going to happen. It is fascinating.
Did he get in because he was buddies with Rodgers? Like, Rodgers just liked him or something a few years ago?
That's definitely part of it.
I need the story.
The other thing I would say is that if you really like Tim Boyle, and once injuries hit and you're 3 deep into the depth chart, he'll be available. You can call him up. Nobody else is picking.
That go back to I'm the advocate for the backup QB house. They all live at the house.
He's in.
And you call it. Give me Gradkowski.
Right.
Give me Tim Boyle, right? You call the QB house, and they're all ready to go during the season. They got all the playbooks there, ready to go.
Right. He'll be shooting pool in the basement or whatever. You just call him up. He'll be there.
Let's play that game. Tim Boyle sitting at a house with 32 other backup quarterbacks. How many other quarterbacks are you calling before you're like, yeah, give me Tim?
Quite a lot.
He's the one that I want.
Yeah.
All right. So, anyway. Dolphins are 2-4. They're in an interesting spot here because there's reports that Tua might be coming back this week, right, for week 8.
Yeah.
That he's going to practice and maybe come back. They're sitting here at 2-4.
And that's just going to they're just sort of going to slip that into the news cycle, Oh, by the way, Tua's back. They've sort of bypassed the old, is Tua or is Tua not even going to continue to play football? And they're like, yeah, he's just back next week.
It's a similar schedule that I'm going to recite probably if I remember when we talk about the Jets in a couple hours. But Miami has the Cardinals, then they go to Buffalo, but then the Rams, Raiders, and Patriots. If the Dolphins they could easily win 4 out of those 5 games, and they're right back into this. You want to try to beat Buffalo and make up ground in the division, but Dolphins aren't completely out of this. And so you could see them going back to Tua. And as much as we had this Tua as a system quarterback discussion, more and more evidence, no matter who they throw out there, this offense does not function without him at the helm.
No, and I do think it has been quite damaging for McDaniel in terms of he has not been able to execute any kind of functioning offense. Again, it's difficult, right? We've said this for years. If you don't have your starting quarterback, it's really hard in the NFL. That being said, there's direct contrast with somebody like Matt LaFleur, who was able to get not just a functioning, but like a good offense out of a guy like Malik Willis, who had previously been non-functional in other offenses. Like, you can go out there and craft a different offense that's completely independent from the one you have with your starting quarterback, that's good, that's hooked up, that's everything you want it to be. When that guy goes down, you can change things and still make it work. And McDaniel hasn't been able to come close to doing that with multiple different quarterbacks.
Richardson comes in, as I mentioned, 10 for 24. I mean, he was kind of all over the place again. I'm just going to go through my notes here. And I know, look, he's coming off of missing a couple weeks. Is he just always rusty because he doesn't get to play back to back? Rusty. Like I said, look, Anthony Richardson's completing 46% of his passes today, and somebody's like, oh, he's rusty. I'm like, well, yeah, it's because he's been hurt in half of his starts over 2 years.
Permanent rust.
Misses an in-cut. It would have been a pick if it was on target. Misses another in-cut. Overthrows a deep ball. Had a couple really nice deep comebacks. Like, you could see the deep out and the deep comeback. Had a beautiful throw before the half that led to a field goal. Layered throw over the middle of the field. But it's like, for every good that I write down, there's a bad as well.
Sure.
He steps into pressure on an RPO, like just drifted into it. So the feel in the pocket isn't really great, and then just the pure accuracy. Like, I don't know how to. The whole discussion around Anthony Richardson was like, we just kind of hope he hits more throws, much like Josh Allen did. Josh Allen, maybe at an extreme level, even Lamar to a point. They had accuracy issues coming out of college that got way better in the NFL. Anthony Richardson, it's literally just like, when the throw's open, you got to hit more of them. Yeah. One of the big plays was basically a prayer to Alec Pierce, which is, fine. Like, you learn that from Flacco. You throw some prayers. Sometimes they get answered. Had one of those earlier. But overall, very inconsistent. Still took a whole bunch of big hits.
Learned at the church of Flacco.
Yeah.
Throw up a prayer, and every now and again it's going to get answered.
Yeah, exactly. And usually underthrow it is what you want to do. We have a stat here. I'm just going to read it. Anthony Richardson having a 2024 to forget. Here's where he stands among all QBs with 100-plus dropbacks. 48.5% completion is last. Touchdown to interception ratio is last. Passer ratings last. EPA per dropback is 27th, all from the 33rd Team FB on Twitter. 33rd Team's Twitter account.
Yep, it's that.
So, my boy Josh Downs, just not a fit in the Anthony Richardson offense.
No, well, because Josh Downs requires, a high volume of accurate passes. That's not what you get in an Anthony Richardson
Flacco's
offense.
been giving him to. So anyway, it's just, look, Richardson also had a couple design runs that were huge, and one that sealed the deal, but just looking for that consistency from him.
Yeah. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of our video.
For more great content, click here to subscribe and here to watch another video. We'll see you again soon.